This podcast is brought to you by sarahraven.com, which is home to everything you need for a truly beautiful and productive garden. You'll also find great and essential gardening kit and stylish, lovely things to have in your house to bring the outside indoors, all inspired by the garden and the house being tied together. There's also plenty of garden inspiration, how-to videos and specialist growing guides. So head over to sarahraven.com today to discover even more. Welcome to Grow, Cook, Eat, Arrange, the podcast of me, Sarah Raven. And today I have got somebody who I've admired for 30 or even 40 years, I have to say, amazingly, which is Raymond Blanc. And I actually did my A-levels in Oxford when I was 16 to 18. And I lived in Oxford, and I then went back when I was training to be a doctor to do my science A-levels in Oxford again. So I lived in Oxford, and I was very lucky to be taken to Raymond's first restaurant, which was just incredible that it's so long ago. And it was so quickly so successful. But welcome, Raymond. It's incredibly exciting to have you on the podcast to talk about your new kitchen garden cookbook.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much indeed for all the good things you said about me. Yes, you're right. When I came in England, not only nobody could understand a word of what I was talking about. And even when I did my television program, people were smiling, but with no understanding of what I was saying. So I hope that today we'll be able to communicate properly and that my English has improved a little bit.
I think it has over the decades. Well, it's really lovely to have you here and to celebrate your book, which is coming out in mid-September. It's a subject very close to my heart, which is kitchen gardening, which I've done. I'm now 62. And I've been gardening since I was 14 or 15, growing plants. So it's something that I really love. But I wanted to sort of just chat through and tell the listeners what is so exciting about Raymond's books, and particularly this one, which I've read from cover to cover in the last week or so, is even though I've cooked all my life, there are just things to learn and tips you get because, of course, he runs this huge empire of incredible chefs throughout the brasseries, but also in his wonderful hotel. And I just wanted to just list 2 or 3 of these amazing tips that I found so useful that I didn't know about. And the first is, how do you get endive, which is that incredibly crinkly frisee lettuce, which is such a classic part of French salads more than British salads. And I find also with lamb's lettuce, the same problem, and with the leeks, is how you get the grit out. And I think this is such a good tip that you put a really decent slosh of white wine vinegar, half a glass of white wine vinegar.
But first, before you forget one thing, please, Sarah. How do you prepare a chicory, a big endive, the frisee salad, what we call frisee in France, okay? This big curly lettuce. And an organic one actually is extraordinary. First, and in the organic, the leaves, the outer leaves will be a bit faded, okay, a bit tired. So remove them, okay? Then after, remove some of the too overgreen, the tips, okay? And it's very easy. You hold it between your 2 hands, put them on your bowl. With a big fat knife, you just cut the end. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
But keep the green leaves because there's the most powerful, there's the most chlorophyll. When there's the most chlorophyll, that's when you have the most flavor. The yellow leaf underneath, they've not been, the green leaves protect them from the sun. So they are tender and delicate. So you have bitter outside, and the yellow, beautiful pale yellow is sweetness and tenderness. So you take your salad first, you chop the very, very top, remove any bad leaves outside, then you bundle it together with one hand and chop in pieces of mouse pieces, 4 centimeters, roughly, 4 to 5, and just like that. Then after you have a big sink of water, okay, put a big sink because that's a big lettuce, okay, it does serve at least 10 people, and then you put them in cold water, salt and vinegar. And that, if it's organic, there's lots of living things, okay, in these lettuce, okay? But even so, if you buy it in a supermarket, this is still a nice way to do it. The cold water crisp up the endive, give it more even more texture and more flavor. The salt, season it lightly, okay, and also remove all these little beastly things out and sandy bits, okay. We should slowly sink and the vinegar, of course, the vinegar, which is acid, and they don't like it. And the vinegar also season and also moves these tiny little organism, let's call them organism.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's not too many slugs. We don't like slugs, don't we, as gardeners? No. Okay. and then leave it for half an hour. So your salad is firmer, it is tastier, and it took you only a few minutes to prepare it, and half an hour in the cold water. Okay?
Fantastic.
And then you left it, of course. And my job as a kid, my mama, of course, we had a huge garden, a mega garden, half of the size of Le Manoir at saison. And my job was also to prepare these lettuce and shake it with a big panier salad. You know, this big basket.
Yes.
That was the old-fashioned way until my mom actually bought a proper, this whizzer, yes, which is fantastic. Really, it's a great invention. So yes, it's a very simple tips, but too often I see people preparing salads, and what a mess.
Yes, absolutely. And definitely lamb's lettuce or mash in French is so gritty too, isn't it? Because it's grown in sand.
Obviously, mash, again, is a salad which is not known enough in UK. It grows beautifully right from November right up to March, April. It doesn't like the heat, okay, so it loves the winter. So it's getting to know those things. Like I have salads for the spring, salad for the summer, salad for autumn, and salad for the winter. So and season define what is on the plate. And I think if we were doing that in UK, which we don't do enough, and it's not a blaming, it's just simply the lifestyle that parents have. Moms are working, life is more demanding all of the time. And of course, we are a little bit, we lack of confidence, and I hope this little book will help you to give you that confidence.
Exactly. It really does. It really does. Because it's so full of tips. And then there's another brilliant one. Will you tell us about your tips for aubergines, which is I grow aubergines, but I tend to wait until they go glossy. But I love the idea that what you say is you knock on it. And if it's a flat thud and heavy, then it's ripe.
Well, I've got about 10 varieties of aubergine, and the one who does always the best, I hate the name of it, by the way, it's called Money Maker. We grow everything organically here. Before we were, and that will interest you, Sarah, and I think all of your listeners will also be interested. What I mean by that is, I used to be certified organic for 40 years. Now we move away from certification organic to be just organic. Why? We will do the same thing, no chemicals whatsoever, no application of chemicals, fertilizers, zero. I mean, we go on to be the same. But the problem with certified organic limits you as far as the varieties you can get. It really limits you to a point. If you look at a seed library, if you look at what's available on Soil Association, and variety for me is as important as the soil or the climate, or the love of the gardener, Let's not forget the gardener and the love of the gardeners, because I think gardeners are underpaid, they're underappreciated. The knowledge they have is extraordinary. I'm not a gardener. I love gardens. As yourself, we're a family of 7, and the garden would feed a family of 7 nearly all year round. Okay, so I have a deep understanding, and of the garden, of the seasons. Okay, and that's what my papa gave me, and my mama gave me. Food's an act of love. Not the bedroom, but the table is the heart of the house. Okay, sorry for that little naughty French little observations.
You're allowed that.
And a table is a place, is sacred in France. Definitely, we had lunch and dinner together as a family. And my papa would break the bread, not me. Until I earned my bread, I was not allowed to serve myself with bread. And it's interesting, my papa was a communist atheist. My mom was a guilty Catholic. Okay, so interesting background. Two great gardeners, two great feeders, two great people who love food. And he would do that cross on that because we would have a 2 kilogram bread. So the children wouldn't wolf it straight away if it was fresh. So it was 2 days old, always 2 days old. So you ate a bit less bread, okay? And he would put a
Yes.
cross on this big loaf. He put a cross on the table. It was weird. And because he was communist. And I asked my papa, so why do you use a cross?
Yeah.
It's a sign of respect, Raymond. It's respect.
Yeah.
That bread, is the most important thing in life. It feeds the family. And so to show my respect by putting a cross on it. So, but these values were given, seasonality all the time, on deep understanding of the ground. My papa made me eat earth, at the age of 7.
Yes, I read that.
Oh my God.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, so have you ever eaten earth? Proper earth. I'm not talking about manure, okay? Compost. I'm talking about proper earth, shiny, black, big chunks of it. It made me taste it. And so it was raining. He decided to garden. Okay, with Papa. You don't argue with your Papa. And you go in the garden, and it just suddenly stopped, and he took a big chunk of earth, shiny, and with living things in it. I said, Raymond, look at it. So, okay, I look at it. You don't disobey your Papa. I was 7. Smell it. Okay, I smell it. Acid. Of course, very healthy, for sure. Then taste it. So that I'm a little bit concerned. I said, taste it. So I took a big chunk of earth and put it in my mouth. And believe me, it was quite extraordinary because it just sucked the whole saliva out of my mouth. Then there was these palettes of aromatics which were quite incredible: sour, bitter, sweet, acid. It went on. And of course, it was very British. So it's not the most pleasant. But I only understood 14 years after why he was doing that. And I asked him, I was 14, I dared to ask him, Papa, okay, I understand why you asked me to look at the earth, because if the earth is beige and sticky clay, okay, so all the root vegetables won't go into it, understand. If it's irony, it will be red, and forget about, don't go anything. So I understand the color is important, so you made me look at it. But why on earth did you make me taste it? And that's when I discovered that my Papa had a sense of humor. And told me that was a joke. So that was a joke. So thank you very much, Papa. But really, so that shows really, in some ways, the country I lived in, okay, very rural, very peasant. And the garden was a cottage industry which would feed the family all year round. Yeah. I mean, the cellar was, my Papa built his own house, and the cellar was a footprint of the house. That means he built a house for 7 children. My mama decided to have only 5 at one stage. She said, Maurice, only 5. Okay, oui, mommy. Okay. So, and then that cellar was extraordinary. I remember sitting on the top of the stairs with that one single bulb, just, and you get accustomed to the obscurity, the light.
Yes.
And you see dozens of boxes, covered with jute. And you had the potatoes, you had the beetroot, you had the chicory. All the vegetables covered, which would be kept in this cool place. And then you had, on the back of it, you have shelves, dozens of shelves full of different preserved wild mushrooms, berries, haricots verts, and so on. It was quite incredible. And then you had always a big barrel of wine which would drip. And that was the most beautiful still life that I've ever seen. Yes. And the smell was incredible of that dripping barrel of cheap red wine, on the floor. Yeah. So, I mean, food has always been part of, my mama was a farmer, a daughter of a farmer, so I have a deep knowledge, of his lifestyle, which was really hard because whilst my friends were playing football, I was in the garden somehow. Okay. Anyway, now I'm going to listen to you, properly, and I'm going to be...
But Raymond, tell me, so how did they have time? So your mother was looking after you full time, but your father was working, but he still had time to do all of this because you all helped him.
Yes, but my father would work all day in the factory,
Yeah.
And then he would come with his motorbike, 20 miles away, back in the house. He would arrive at 6 o'clock. We have to run to open the door to him. And he would go in his garden in the summer, spring, summer, he would go in his garden straight away. So the garden was really providing for the food. There was no flowers or very few flowers, hardly any.
Yeah.
It was about growing food and to feed a family. That's what it was all about.
And why did you decide to leave France? So where you were brought up was on the French-Swiss border.
Yes, yeah. I will try to be sure. We're close to the Jura. Don't forget the Jura, because the Jura was 20 miles away. And the Jura is a rugged mountains with a beautiful wines as well, mostly organic, who led the organic movement. Okay, so it is a very special ground full of forest, the biggest forest of Europe. So that was our playground. That means we were hunting, everything, and hunting wild berries. I remember a site in this forest where the raspberries were growing up the branches of trees, falling down, and you could see this ruby-like little jewel of fruit, and thousands, and the floor was covered with a carpet of pale green of wild strawberries. The smell was, when you eat wild strawberries now, it has no connection with the real thing, because we crossbred all these fruits to be big, to be resistant to any disease, to be beautifully colored, but nobody thinks of the taste. And we kill the taste and we kill the nutrients as well. So we had all that, okay? Wild asparagus. Have you ever hunted wild asparagus?
Yes, I have actually. But in fact, in Greece and Spain, not in France, but yeah. But it's bitter, but it is incredibly delicious.
Well, mine were sweet and delicious.
Okay.
That's probably from Franche-Comté. That's the difference, probably.
Okay, good. And is it like that now? If you go back there?
No.
To the forest? No.
No. The pesticide, fertilizers, fungicide, all these things have killed nature. These forests, I don't recognize them anymore. We have lost so many varieties, so many wild, beautiful things which was feeding the table and giving the forest, all this beauty. We lost a lot. I mean, this forest don't. No, we still have some wild mushrooms. They seem to be a bit more resistant. And my best hunt of wild mushrooms was not the mori, which was fantastic, of course, which grows outside of the forest on sandy soil and on rubbishy bits and pieces. And of course, you sell them a lot of money, okay? And I would sell it.
They're the ones that look like a brain.
Yeah, absolutely. They're conical, and they were beautiful, hundreds of little honeycombs. So it's a very beautiful mushroom. It goes in my region, was going between April and June, okay? And I knew exactly because my papa did me a map, okay? Because they keep going at the same place. They grow in big colonies as well. And underground, you got this mycelium, okay, which is somehow, so never pull a mushroom. You always cut it at the base, at the stalk,
Yeah.
So we would go, obviously, mori, black trumpets, pied de mouton, lamp-sweet, okay, you call them lamp-sweet, girole, of course, chanterelle.
Yes. Chanterelle, yes.
We go the big ceps,
Honey
big
buns.
fat cep. But the best hunt of wild mushrooms was for the petit gris. And you hunted them like the Neolithic people by smell, because they grew on the mosses. And they love the partnership of pine trees, les sapins, and moss. And by smell, so you had to go on the sense of the wind. Okay, when you saw a great big patch of pine trees and the mosses covered with mosses, you go when the wind is against you. It's crazy.
That's
isn't
so
it?
great.
So beautiful, is it?
Yeah. Well, autumn is a good time. So yes, we were talking about morels, but we got diverted, Raymond, from you saying why you came to England.
Yeah. My English was very poor because English was second language or third language. I would say my first language, of course, was French. My second language was German. And because we all thought that Europe would be led by Germany because they were so advanced in technologies and so on. Okay. And then effectively it's in UK, actually is the language of UK, which is connected with America, of course, which is running the show. So my English was absolutely appalling and nobody understood what a word I was talking about. Even when I started to do TV, nobody could understand, but they like the accent. Okay,
yes.
So at least. But now I hope that now you can understand a few words, okay? Just a few, just to make up what I'm talking about, okay?
I think
so
we
I came in England, I'll tell you when I came in England, Sarah. I didn't know what to do. So I studied a bit, but it was a time where the teachers decided what you should be doing because my parents were working class. So effectively, they didn't know, okay, what, it's the teachers. And they decided I should be either an architect or a technical designer.
Right.
That was a disaster because I'm neither, completely neither. And I look at them and say, no way. So I went in a school, a very special school, in secondary school, effectively, to study technical drawing and architecture. And I hate square, I hate rectangle, I hate hexagon, I hate anything which is geometry. I love what is asymmetry.
Yes.
So obviously it didn't last long. And I wanted to find my passion. And I will tell for whoever listened to this little podcast, and especially to children, please find your heart, find your passion.
Yeah.
Because it will give yourself, to you and to others, so much joy and so much learning and so much, you will share so much with so many people. Find that little thing which makes you, and I found it, okay? I found a beautiful restaurant, okay? It was a beautiful summer night in Besançon, my hometown, and it was late. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and suddenly I saw something extraordinary. It was a terrace of a restaurant. It was a beautiful day like we're having now, okay? And there was a beautiful terrace with guests dining and enjoying wine, holding hands, saying, I love you, toujours, forever, encore. It was beautiful. The waiters were running, walking elegantly with their Bordeaux jackets, their silver epaulettes. The maître d'hôtel were flambing the crêpe Suzette and carving the cheese or a beautiful carré d'agneau. It was amazing. All in black ties. It was the most, that's it. And that, what decided. You just knew. At that moment, it was a huge revelation. So I was lucky. And I should have known better because I was born into, in this environment of food. Not just food, oh, my little belly, all I earn is for you. That's one part of it. But it's growing it. It is understanding seasonality, varieties, the enemies of soul, enjoying the table, celebrating it. Argue around the table, celebrate, share more intimate moment, beautiful moment. So I fell completely in love. And I should have known to be a chef at an early stage, but I waited until I was 19 in order to, and when I saw this extraordinary, beautiful restaurant, which is a terrace restaurant, which was a star Michelin, as well, called Palais de la Bière, beer palette. It said nothing looked like. Everything was so elegant and so beautiful. And then that's it. I didn't want to be the waiter. I wanted to be the chef who creates this beautiful food.
Yes.
So the morning after I see the boss, okay, it was a grey man with a grey suit, with grey eyes. Everything was grey. Obviously, an old boy who knew everything about our business of hotellerie. And I told him I'll be a great chef one day. And I just went on for about half an hour to tell him how great I will be. And he gave me a job, okay? He gave me a job of cleaner.
Okay.
So I say, okay, so it's a way to start. Okay, fine. It's a bit of a controversy, but okay, it's a way to start. And I became a cleaner, and the best cleaner. Everything was like the Galerie des Glaces in Versailles. Everything was shiny. I would go on my ladder on this huge mirror, and I would clean them with a paper and vinegar until there was not a single smear. The toilets were clean, shiny. Everything was beautiful. So everyone loved me. As though I was doing a menial task, it was important to do it well.
You took pride in it.
And I was not ashamed. I took huge pride in it. And everyone loved me because they trusted me. Then I became washing up, the heavy washing up, and I nearly lost my hand because there was no gloves at the time. And these washing up ingredients were so full of chemicals. So I stopped and I became a glass washer up. And I love my glasses. They were all hand-blown. The French would be drinking 5 wines at lunchtime for the business. Of course, that's a business. You do business, okay?
Yeah.
So you need a good one, okay? And the wine was all hand-blown. So when you did that, the song of the glass lasted forever. They were so refined. There was a huge breakage.
Yeah.
And I cut down the breakage by half. I asked my grandmother to give me a linen cloth, which didn't leave a single flat on the glass. And every glass of wine coming from the restaurant, I would taste. Not drink, because a drunk chef doesn't go very far. But I wanted to know all the varieties of grapes, whether it is Syrah, whether it is Pinot Noir, whether it is Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, whether it is, etc., etc. And in 6 months' time, I said 6 months I was washing up. I knew all my wines, okay, most of my wines, and I read everything, all the great books of Escoffier. I've just read the book here of, oh God, mon Dieu, Joseph Fabre, okay, which was very involved in nutrition and science as well. So I read all the great classics, avidly, so I could understand the history of gastronomy, where it come from, connected with regions, connected with people, connected with the growers, and that was, I didn't sleep hardly. I was so in love with these extraordinary discoveries. So then after, but everyone again loved me because I cut down the package by half. The sommelier loved me because I didn't have to clean the glasses behind me. Because I was a very popular boy. Then I became a waiter. And I wore that beautiful purple jacket, okay, and this silver epaulette as a commis. And I became quickly the best commis. And I was starting to do the carving and so on and so on. So I was learning all the front of house. It was a restaurant job, okay. And I remember the head waiter was wonderful and who helped me a lot. He was kicking me because I was carving too slow, beautifully, but too slow. Okay, Raymond, come on, service. So I was spending too much with the guests. Anyway, so I became a demi-chef de rang in no time. Because I was a popular boy and I was doing, I love what I'm doing. I love to please people. Yeah. I love to give that total stranger the best moment of his life. That's what we do at Brasserie Blanche, that's what we do at Le Manoir 4 Saisons. So that's what being a chef about. But then everything went wrong. So I was closer to the kitchen, so I could enter the kitchen. And having tasted the sauces of the chef, I thought they were too rich, too heavy. No, you don't want to fall off your chair with a cuisse de foie because you've eaten too much cream or butter.
Yes.
So, because my mom's cuisine was always so simple, always cooked with water, and the water was a catalyst for the meat. You deglaze a bit of water, the meat. You do a most extraordinary jus that creates an emulsion with the sacs, stuck to the pan, and you scrape it a little bit, and you have the most beautiful jus just with water. Don't use a stock for your vegetable soup, for God's sake. You don't need it. It mess up things, if anything. This is disturbing.
That's so interesting. Yeah, over richness. Yes,
over richness and confusion of flavor. Let the water be the catalyst and boiling water. You put it for fast cooking, because if it's fast cooking, you keep the chlorophyll, you keep the nutrients, you keep the colors, you keep the textures, you keep everything but its goodness and flavor. Okay, that's why you don't want to wait another 10 minutes for the pan to regain. So you have a pan of boiling water, you sweat your vegetables, you sweeten them actually. Oh, it's the most beautiful words. Imagine, what are you doing, Raymond? I am sweetening my vegetables. My mom would use butter, a tablespoon of butter for 6 people, and it would have maybe a kilogram of vegetables, all sweetened, especially the onions, because the onions are full of sulfur. Okay, you're a doctor, so you know all about it. It makes you cry. That goes up when you cut an onion, it goes up to 30 centimeters and eats your eyes. And they're raw and they're vulgar when raw. But when you cook them, when you apply heat, you transform the carbohydrate into sweetness.
Into
absolutely. Things which are edible and delicious. So you sweeten your vegetables, first the onions, you add the garlic, of course, always French cuisine, there's always a bit of garlic, which is delicious. And also these fresh vegetables, which are in season, chop them up, quite small, so the cooking is faster, and put them, when they say nicely sweetened, put boiling water, big bunch of chervil, wash quickly, keep the stalk on, like parsley. Keep the stalk of your parsley. Don't throw it away. Chop them up finely. It's wonderful texture. You bite these little bits of things which are absolutely creating wonder in your mouth. You bite into this texture. So the leaves, but also the stalks. Don't throw them away. Very finely, of course, you need a bit of chopping lesson. Come at Le Manoir, the Raymond Blanc OBE school. We'll teach you. That's 40 years we had that school. It's been so what I was talking about, man.
So then you fell out with the chef because he was using far too much cream and
but I convey to him, suggested very as politely as I could, but the chef was a giant.
Yes.
and with moustache, which bristled somehow. They moved when he was angry, and he had dark eyes and big hands. And I saw him knock down a few apprentices. It was really tough. Those kitchens were hard. And I suggested to him, Chef, what about we use a little sabayon to lighten the sauce, or, a bit of lemon juice, or can we just, etc. And I saw him looking at me, and I knew something would happen, and something did happen. And he took a copper casserole and slammed it in my face. Broken jaw. Okay.
Gosh.
Oh, it was, and the hospital. Okay, the boss came to see me, and he started to say, "How can you tell that to the chef? The chef is a creative power. He put a roof over my house. And he telling me cannot cook." So I could hardly argue with wires around your face. But anyway, so he said, "But I've seen you, young man, and I know you're going to be
do very well.
You're going to succeed, okay? And I'm going to help you." And so then on that day, to help me, so I lost my job, I lost my jaw, I lost a great deal of confidence. And then I was exiled where? In England. The worst place to go in 1972.
Yes.
When basically the food scene was horrendous, mostly. But then I worked in a beautiful inn called the Rose Revived, and I was in the front as a chef de rang. There's so many stories attached to it. I wish I could do it would last forever. But the chef was so bad that he was fired by the boss. Everything was cooked 10 days before, all was frozen, or whatever. It was. So that the boss asked, "Can somebody cook?" I say, "I can cook." And that's where I first started. And I did create immediately a garden. And then I had another big problem, because the garden I bought also new varieties, okay, of pea shoot, eating of different varieties and of course of vegetables. And the gardener was Mr. Lay, was a big man who had principle of growing leek like a tree. And carrots had to be that big, never mind the variety. So he couldn't understand that. And suddenly I had to pick up the plants at night.
Oh, gosh.
So not to upset Mr. Lay, but one day he saw that his vegetables were dwindling down, and I wanted to pick them up, not baby, because a baby doesn't have any flavor. Yeah. It's pretty, it's sentimental, it's romantic, but the baby vegetable is a baby. There's no build-up of sugar, of flavors, aromatics. Okay, so I wanted medium, just adolescent, that kind of size, which is just perfect, which will cook fast, extract and have the beautiful depths of flavor as well. So one night I was picking up this vegetable with another young commis with me. Full night, it was a full moon. I saw that huge shadow cast over me.
Oh no!
And I knew I had to run for my life. And I ran faster. Thank God that little Frenchman, ran faster than big Englishman, but I escaped. Anyway, so that was my first. And then after, immediately we were in all the guards in no time. Okay, it was a place to eat. And then I worked in a French bistro, in a French one-star Michelin in France, in Oxford. But I was dreaming of having my own place. And with my wife, that's it. In 1977, we opened a little restaurant with red and white tablecloths, cheap Prince of Paris on the wall. Okay, I cut my plastic coke roll, and I painted the feathers bleu, blanc, rouge, so you knew it was a French restaurant. Okay, and I put it at the forefront, and we opened our shops. The worst time ever, when Arthur Scargar was running around all the UK, there was strikes everywhere. One day he didn't have water, one day he didn't have, you remember those days, no electricity or no gas or no whatever. And then I decided, okay, let's open a French restaurant. That's what England needs. Wow. It was definitely a long time, but it had a huge success. In no time, it was instantaneous. In 1 year, a year and a half, we had a star Michelin, best restaurant by many guides in UK, and of course I was working 18 hours a day, and I had 4 young commis with me. I remember Sarah, a little blonde lady, and they were commis. They were not. There was Connie, who just came out of college. Mark Peregrine was still with me 50 years after, as the head of the Raymond Blanc OBE school, and still curious, still interested, still passionate, still passing on to the guests, to our guests, Maman Blanc's food, simple food, it's not Manoir food, but it's using all the knowledge of the Manoir, in order to create some simple, beautiful dishes. Oh my God, it was. So I'm just getting lost. So somehow I just get too excited, and
no, it's very good. And so, just to bring us back to the garden,
that's where we basically saison started. Then I fell after 5 years, I had and after 3 years, 2-star Michelin.
Yeah,
which
incredible.
is really that is now effectively 41 years at Le Manoir plus 3 years at the 4 saisons, so 45 years. Also, I'm not very good at mathematics. Okay. So that we have this 2-star Michelin as a top level, okay? And I fell in love with the Manoir, completely in love with the Manoir when I saw it. An old Manoir, totally broken, dilapidated, the foundations, the roof. I was not an architect, I was not a financier. I just a young chef who was totally passionate about food, and wanted, but I fell in love with it. I love the grand small drive, the tall Elizabethan chimney, the beautiful yellow Oxford stone, and the potential, huge. The gardens were frightening, actually. The gardens were full of grandelda, full of rabbits everywhere, jumping happily, full of brambles. It had not been looked after for the last 20 years or 10 years, whatever it was. So it was really the most frightening side, okay? But that's when I brought my papa to help me. Okay, it was payback time.
And he did the potager.
And he did the potager, okay. And then I had Albert, a great English gardener. He looked like an emperor. But I had the same problem, wanted to pick up vegetables grown. And then we had a different philosophy, okay. I wanted the gardener to be part of the kitchen. And the kitchen to be to understand each other's headaches. To have that kind of respect for each other's craft. So that's where I started the varietals, so maybe, trials. And if I did a trial of carrots, it would be 20 or 30 different carrots.
Yes.
And I would choose the earliest, the latest, so to expand the season, and mostly what is the best. And I found, sorry to say, that the best carrot is not complete, 100%. And I wish this year, because it was very dry, then like a bit of wet. So the root, the core is a bit woody, which is very rare. But in normal time, the quasi navet, turnip is the very best. Et cetera, et cetera. So it's always finding the best. Why? For your guests, for you to give your best to your guests. And equally, to teach gardeners, to work with gardeners who didn't quite understand the importance of varietals.
Yeah, exactly. And the chef and the gardeners would have equal priority in the selection. Yeah.
And absolutely. And then we would have tasting. Okay, so sometimes maybe 20 or 30 varieties, especially early days. We had to discover what is the best, what is the earliest and what's the late, how we can expand the seasons. Okay, and then and then we would taste with the chefs. So the chefs started to respect what the gardeners and understand better what the gardeners does, the work of the gardener. And often the chefs come in the garden and help the garden, and the gardeners started to understand the cooking process.
Yeah.
What makes a great cooking? You don't boil a carrot. You do a little emulsion, just water, a bit of butter, 5 grams of butter, like my nail, okay? And for let's say, for 12 carrots, or you just big pan, 1 layer or 2 layers maximum, maybe a teaspoon of butter, and maybe 200 grams of water. And you do an emulsion, salt, pepper, a bit of tarragon, 1 leaf of tarragon, 1 leaf of garlic, 1 tiny slice of garlic. And just let the water reduce, and same time it reduce. You have the jus of carrot which escape from the carrot and create the most wondrous jus. And you put
fantastic.
It's so simple,
and so simple.
And water again. Don't mess up with stocks. You don't need stocks.
No. And so tomatoes, which I was just sort of going to make us talk about some recipes a little bit. So I know at the Manoir, I mean, I know you taught me, or your head gardener then, when I did an article 10 years ago, told me that Nero de Milano is your favourite courgette.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Because
it's changed.
I found, being in Provence, it's a Grise de Provence.
Okay.
The Nero de Milano is beautifully green, but flavor is very poor. Sorry for my Italian friends. When I discovered the Grise de Provence or Grey de Provence,
yes, yeah.
Oh my God! So we go to Milano. We did a tasting and blind tasting completely. The Grey de Provence smash completely. So taste. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a pale green with little ribs. Okay. So and compact texture flavor.
Nutty.
There's real flavor. Okay, of courgette. Okay, so now we keep the Milano for certain use, and we have the Grey de Provence. Okay, Grise de Provence.
Great.
Yeah. So you always be curious, always look.
New ones.
Curiosity is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And so tomatoes, which of course now in early autumn are so relevant. Can you just tell us about a few of your favorites?
Yes. Again, tomatoes should be classified like potatoes, in different. A potato, for example, Charlotte is for salads.
Yeah.
The Maris Piper or the Yukon Gold for French fries. The binge, okay, for puree. Okay, so everything is according to the amount of starch there is in it. Okay.
Or waxy,
And actually, to be fair, there's one man who wrote a wonderful book about potatoes. It is Pierre Kaufmann.
Yes.
A great chef, and he's done with his wife. Okay, now I think his wife has got
wonderful book.
As much, if not more, knowledge than him. Quite interesting, but that's a great book as well. But it's maybe a bit over. But it gives you a great insight. A potato is not a potato.
Absolutely.
There are some better and that's a starch amount. And how long you keep them. You notice that in winter, when the potatoes are kept, the sugar level, the moisture goes out, the sugar level is stronger. And of course, they will get brown very quickly. Okay, that's why. So you've got to know your potatoes. It's worth it. Fun.
Yes.
Fun at all about it. But we're talking about tomatoes. Sorry. Just move around here. So we choose our garlic varieties, every vegetable is just tried. Okay, so tomatoes for me, there's 5 varieties.
Mm-hmm.
It's tomato essence, which I created about 30 years ago, which is really capturing the heart of the tomato.
Yes.
So imagine asking me, Raymond, what are you doing? I'm capturing the heart of my tomato.
Yes.
It's like sweetening your vegetables. It's so important, so beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, and that comes from my mom, who would grow big fat marmot potatoes, and she would pick them up to finish them up from the windowsill. And it was like entering a glass house, not a kitchen. And then she would slice these tomatoes, when they were perfectly ripe, she would slice these tomatoes for tomato salad. Okay, a few bit of salads around it, a bit of hard-boiled egg around, and you had okay, and then she seasons them before a little bit with salt, and the salt draws the water out.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then the mustard dressing, which is so easy. Mustard, a bit of hot water, dash of vinegar, emulsify with a thread of olive oil. Okay, extra virgin or sunflower oil, vegetable oil.
Yes.
And if it starts separating, add a bit of warm water, and the water just re-emulsify it and bring it back together. And you can create a whole bottle, of dressing for 2 months if you want to, because and just shake it to re-emulsify it. Okay, so anyway, so
fabulous.
There's so many things. So what I was talking about, Sarah, tell me.
So then, so we've had marmande, and then we've got 4 others.
So marmande, and then that was prompted to me to discover the essence of tomato. Okay, because the best part of eating a tomato was the tomato itself, but most is the jus. That jus which escape, and you mop it up with bread, and it's just completely divine. Actually, there's a few Italian recipes who does that. Okay, they stuff with the bread with jus. But so I eventually wanted to recreate this jus extracted from tomato. And that one, it took me many months. Okay, and I got it wrong very often. And I discovered that the outside layer, which is a skin of tomato, that's the most bitter part. And the jus inside, see, what makes the tomato is switching the skin, the flesh of tomato, and the acidity which is created by the juice within the tomato.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the aroma tomato. Let's go back to the essence. So I wanted to capture some elementary. I found it. I took some cherry tomatoes, half marmande, half cherries, chopped them up, put them into a big, for Manoir or for Michelin Blanc, we use 10 kilo at a time. We do, and you chop them up. Put a bit of tarragon, a bit of basilic, salt, of course, which we're going to extract. Okay, but seasoning. Okay, perfect seasoning. Okay, a bit of a pepper. A dash of vinegar, of course, and then you put them in a double muslin cloth and you hang them in front, in the middle of your kitchen. Yes. So you have to have a hook somewhere. And the compression of the tomato just comes down, okay, and you create the most beautiful golden. It must not be red. It must be just gold, okay, gold, and and you taste, and you have heaven, tomato heaven. No less. Okay, and then what do you do with the rest? My mom taught me, Raymond, you shall waste not, no waste whatsoever. Okay, so that's a principle we put both in Michelin Blanc and Manoir at saison. Always, no waste, zero waste, and we have embraced all these values that my parents gave me. I brought them in here.
Yeah,
in both
fantastic.
businesses, trying to minimize the waste. Respect the food because it's expensive, it's hard to grow. You must respect the food, okay? So I eventually found, and then, so what do you do with the rest? Wow, easy. You do either a beautiful soup, you can do sauces, you've got so many spaghetti,
Could you use that for your jam? Because that was one of the recipes in the book.
Yes, and jam, tomato jam, confit.
Jam.
I use a different variety for tomato jam. I use tigarella, which is this striped green tomato, which got a nice,
acidity.
But it's ripe. It's still ripe. So the tomato. So for salad, it's best are marmande and Russian black for me.
Yes, me too.
Or black creamy ends. Okay. Sauce always. There's only two varieties. They're Italian. Maybe you don't know it. Okay, that's not French. Okay, they're Italian, and they're called Roma or San Marzano.
Yes.
Okay, which is more or less the same variety. And why? Because they got flesh. Lots of flesh, little acidity, so they cook fast.
Yeah.
So there's fields, there's hundreds of hectares in Italy that they do, all these beautiful tomato sauce, how's it called, this tomato sauce, what you buy in bottle?
Passata,
you got passata and so on. So that's made from these tomatoes because they cook very, very fast. It makes sense. And little acidity.
Yeah.
And little
fantastic.
Juice. Mm-hmm. So then the best tomato for stuffing is the ox heart.
Yes.
Because it's got a big wall of flesh, it's a big tomato, and you can put any stuffing inside, whether it is rice, whether it is flaked fish, okay, with a bit of whatever. You stuff it with whatever, and you bake it in the oven, a bit of olive oil on the top, bake it in the oven, 170 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes, and you have a beautiful dish, for home.
So simple, but delicious. So the final thing, because I must let you go because you're a busy man, is because it's blackberry season. I wondered if you would just talk us through your incredible cheesecake, because blackberries would be so wonderful with it, I think.
Yes, it does. And I serve it actually with blackberries. That's we serve it at Michelin Blanc. And we cook it as well. To me, that's the best cheesecake I've ever tasted. And I've tasted a lot of cheesecake, and it's not an English one. It's not a French one.
No.
It's a Basque. Well, it's a Basque. It's France. Okay, still, it's on the frontier of Spain, and it's fantastic. If you don't mind, I'm going to give you It's basically the main ingredients. Okay, you need first a baking tray, round or rectangular, but round is more better. A little baking tray with lips about 3 or 4 centimeter, or cake tin. Okay, do you understand? And you butter it. Then you cut a round grease-proof paper that you stack against the butter so it sticks, and mold it very nicely so it's got the shape of the mold. And the paper goes about 2 or 3 centimeters above, okay, the rim of the cake. Then after, it's very, very simple. A teaspoon of unsalted butter, that's for the tin, okay. 1 lemon for zesting, 550 grams of cheese, 175 grams of sugar, which is not very much because there's 8 portions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
8 to 10 portions. Okay. So 4 eggs, for whole eggs, organic, of course, if you can, or free range, definitely minimum. 250 grams of double cream, 2 teaspoons of vanilla bean, or essence. So if you don't have, I have a beautiful puree. That's a lovely recipe I did many years ago. I couldn't believe that we could waste so much of the vanilla
pods.
bean. So I cut the top of it, chop it up, puree it, add a light syrup at 30%. That means 70% water, 30% sugar, and puree it.
Wonderful.
And you have all these things which pop in your mouth. This little star of vanilla, just completely. So you have the taste and you also have the texture, and you have no waste.
Yeah, wonderful.
Again,
wonderful.
No waste, and you use so a bit of that if you want to do your puree of vanilla. It's in the book, I think.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is simply Raymond. Yeah, and then after for eggs, 250 of double cream, 4 teaspoons of chopped boiled vanilla paste. We have a bit of corn flour. That's it. Mix all that up together. Pour it in your tray. Bang it in the oven. Maybe slide it gently in the oven because it's quite liquid. Okay.
Yes.
So don't feel guilt because only 250 grams of cream, so it's divided by 10, 25 grams. It's all right. Sometimes we associate too much guilt with food. And sometimes it's a celebration. It's not something you're going to do every day. It's a cake which celebrates family, life, friends.
Yes.
It connects people. So let's enjoy it and let's not associate guilt with food.
Yes.
Okay, please.
Yes.
Not all.
Yes.
Okay. So if you do it every day, yeah, maybe. But even so, it's not very. So then you cook it for, I think, about 30 minutes until it's just wobbly. You can look at temperature. If it's 75 degrees inside, in the middle of it, you're okay.
Yeah, it's going to set. Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
It said beyond 65, but to be sure, go for 70, 75. That's it. And you cool it down a bit when it's just tepid. And you remove the paper and you just serve it like that on the paper.
With your compote. Yeah.
Yeah, with a compote of beautiful blackberries or raspberries or blackcurrant if you love acidity, or gooseberry, a nice compote of gooseberries. Just a bit of water, a bit of sugar. Okay, and take the pink blueberries. It's a less sweet, more sweet variety. I don't remember exactly the variety. I don't have it in my head, but wow, so simple. So it's to me, that's the best cheesecake. And put zest of lemon inside as well.
Yes.
Any flavor you want to. You can go for orange. You can go, I don't know, I don't have fruit in my mind, but orange, lemon.
It doesn't need it though.
No,
I've cooked it. It's wonderful.
Oh, you cooked it? Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I can't say how much I've enjoyed it, and I know everyone else will have enjoyed it. And just like Raymond said, he read Escoffier. When I was at university, meant to be studying history, I read Elizabeth David. But I promise you. Did you?
And my best was actually, I can show you my best book.
Oh, good.
Lux's book.
Oh, Constance Spry, yes.
And Rosemary Hume.
Absolutely, and Rosemary Hume.
That's
yes,
how I learned my English. That is how I learned my English, and the food science and nutrition as well, because she was very interested also in nutrition. And that's how I read all this book, so you could understand me when I talk about food.
Yes.
Okay? And that's one of my favorite books because I spend and look at the color, you can see.
Yeah.
So and actually I cooked many of the recipes, and I must say they're very accurate, beautiful.
They really are, aren't they? I remember I cooked my father Coquille Saint-Jacques from that book when I was 8. And he loved it. It was, but anyway, what I was going to finish with is that I found your book similarly just wonderful to read. So often recipe books they can be not dull, but they can be quite technical. And so, it's like reading a textbook, but your books are absolutely not. And this new one just breathes life into everything. And it's so vivid and so incredibly knowledgeable and insightful, but also visionary. And so I couldn't more passionately recommend it.
Oh, Sarah, thank you very much. I just would like to say very much enjoy his interactions. That lovely, I call it interview, but it's lovely also to hear you, talking about food. And I know so much of your what you've gone through, moving from doctor to interest in science, in gardening, in seeds. Okay, which are completely seeds. This little brown seed is life force. That little brown seed, which looks so meaningless, is life. And you put it in a little ground, and you put water over it, a bit of sun, and it grows into a magnificent plant. Yes. I think children should learn that,
Yeah, they should. And September, we should finish with chervil, which is one of your favourite plants. Now is the time to sow chervil. So this is the exact moment in the year where you can sow it, and it will be giving you deliciousness until next May.
Because it loves dark, it loves rain, it loves shady things. So it's perfect for winter, England winter, and it doesn't freeze as such.
Yeah.
So really,
exactly.
It's
very hardy.
And that's what Manoir Blanc always, she put this chervil truly everywhere. That's where I got to learn to use that herbs and understand the magic of herbs. Okay, what they can add to a dish, whether it is tarragon, a leaf of basilic, or a little bit of whatever, it adds something. I would like briefly to maybe say one couple of lines on the book if you want to.
Perfect.
If you don't mind. So this book is about deliciousness, seasonal recipes from my garden and my kitchen to yours. Equally, this book is about, of course, growing food. And from growing food with a great skill and knowledge of the gardener, we cook it. So you discover the skill of cooking, and then we eat it. It's a beautiful process from growing to cooking to sharing with friends, with laughter, a nice glass of Pinot Noir. And you have life around the table, and you have friendship. So that's what this little book is all about. Thank you very much.
It's wonderful. Thank you, Raymond, so much. And I'd love to have you back again when you do your next book.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for listening to Grow, Cook, Eat, Arrange with me, Sarah Raven, and the wonderful, inspiring Raymond Blanc. Next week, I'm back on my own again, and I'm going to talk to you about alliums, which of course are for planting now. So which are my tried and tested favourites and some real corker new ones. So I hope you'll join me then.
You can find more information, photos, and advice sheets on all the plants and recipes we talk about on this podcast by heading to the show notes or at sarahraven.com/podcast.